As always, we will take a minute silence to remember the martyrs and all who have fallen to the struggle for freedom. Now we have a short introduction from Kristen, a member of Glasgow Women's Library team.
Yeah, thanks. I'll just come in here so the mic going over you.
You can.
Great, all good. Morning everyone. So I'm Kirsten and I work here at the Glasgow Women's Library. It's really a total honour to welcome you all here for this event today. I'm just going to do a little bit of housekeeping and then give a little bit of information about the library and then hand back over. The Women's Library started by a group of women who wanted to pay attention to those stories and make sure that they were also recorded.
Who is a journalist and co-founder of Kurdish Women's Library and researcher and writer as well, and who was killed by Turkish MIT in front of her house in 4 of October 2022, and now Hazel introduce why we are here and about her Nagihan Akarsel, her life.
Talk a little bit about memory and also memory work, and then we're going to watch a video about Nagihan Akarsel's biography after that. And I wanted to talk about memory and meaning because firstly, obviously, we're in the Glasgow Women's Library Archive and Museum, but also because Nagihan Akarsel dedicated her life to this work as well, so it's very fitting that we're holding this here. And also, I wanted us to actually situate ourselves in this process, and also for us, like, not just as one event, but as part of a wider process of understanding. So firstly, I'm going to say about memory work, which is the act of recording and preserving stories, songs, events, oral histories, materials, documents, and objects, and also protecting them against the erosion of time and also the erosion of the elements. So memory work is self-defense against the capitalist system. It's also something prefigurative, which means it's something creative. It's a process of bringing forth something that we also want to see. It can contain joy, and it can also contain many other realities. It changes and navigates power. And when memories and records are built from below, power is also built from below. Memory work, grassroots memory work, also challenges the elitism, the power of the institution and the state, and the dominant narratives. Who has the power to record and preserve histories and memories? To build and spread narratives that create what we think we know, and also our understanding of who we are. Archives are a site of power. In the dominant patriarchal, capitalist, nation-state system, many histories are erased, especially those of women, colonized peoples, and of working-class people. Archives and memory work change how we see ourselves, individually, collectively, historically, nationally, and as a class. Collective memory is a form of producing culture. After thousands of years of oral histories, only a small percentage of what we ever know has been passed on and transcribed or written down. We exist at a time where the transmission of ancient histories and oral histories coexist with written histories and physical record keeping. Marika Clifford said on archives that they both produce and reproduce justice and injustice.
Sloganıyla sarsacağız yeryüzünü.
Pedofili görüntü alın.
Çok
Say something at the end.
Nagihan Akarsel.
About her life, and in this video actually on this we will turn her dreams, we will realize her dreams. Nagihan's dream was to provide a place for women to exchange their knowledge on the local level and on the global level, and to share, before everything, to share their feelings, their knowledge.
Anyone wants to ask anything for about Zilan in any language, doesn't matter, you can translate. Go on.
Hello, about Zilan. I was wondering if you had any suggestions of small ways which we can honour the memory of Nagihan and practice the ways of genealogy in our day-to-day lives.
Actually, as we said, we have common roots. We have common roots, and our history and our future is connected to each other. And genealogy is trying to reconnect the moment today, our realities inside out, inside out the reality, our reality, which has been blurred, which has been darkened by the power structures, different power structures, in order to understand the very sensitive, connections with nature, with society, with each other, with our geographies and with our history. So, in a sense, everywhere, the perspective from genealogy is proposing, working on how we can enlighten the truth of women, how we can find out methodologies, working and meaningful methodologies, so that we can understand each other, we can understand our reality, and we can change our today and our future. So, in this sense, the perspective of genealogy, as you said how you can apply there, or how you can use there. It's very important to understand the local reality and make the very sensitive connection of this local reality with the reality of the other parts. So, in this sense, continuing on the works to enlighten and to rewrite the women history, and all the attempts of organization to organize, to create self-organization, to create the foundation for enlarging, for making the women's self-consciousness bigger, and coming around this self-organization and self-consciousness is the very biggest and very important step, I think. So what we especially ask from you sisters, you friends there, in order to, you can try to read our sources, resources, you can try to understand, the other,
I just want to know that Nagihan Akarsel being very famous in the world as well. Because of that war, our enemy, they scared, or maybe, or they are scaring for the Kurdish woman actually, because Kurdish woman always like a patient or in the front, and then front from the line, which is the fighting for our enemy, or they are doing really working very hard with our politics as well, you know that. So I just want to know about that. Have you get my question?
Okay, I think I got it. Sorry for the interruption, but the friends who are talking far away, their sound is a little bit echoing. So that's why I have difficulties in understanding. But as you said, Jinjian Azadi, the slogan of Jinjian Azadi, probably you told already, is not a new slogan. Is a slogan which has been used by the Kurdish women freedom struggle since the 90s. Actively and philosophically, ideologically and philosophically, we can say from the beginning of 90s, Kurdish leader, freedom leader Abdullah Öcalan also declared and analyzed many times in his discussions, in his works, why there is this connection between women and life and freedom, and how freedom of society is connected with freedom of women. There are a large number of analyses, printed books, also printed materials, which is dealing with this question. And we see Jinjian Azadi became popular or became a little bit more universalized during the uprisings in Rojava, East Kurdistan, with the massacre of Jina Emini Kurdish women. And from that moment onwards, we, as you mentioned, in the different hegemon nation states, we see how they try to surpass these uprisings, and also how they try to empty the history of this slogan, how this slogan appeared, what is the reality, what's the background of this slogan. So the attempts to not to name in the original language, but to name in different languages. Is a part of this attempt, and also the attempt is also declared itself in how we know also there were in Europe there were also such discussions, the naming in form of naming Jina Emini. If we call Maksa or we call Jina, this was a matter of struggle. But as you said, this was not an attempt of dememorizing or emptying the background of the struggle. It was a very conscious.
To move to the next part of the programme, which is a short introduction about the Genealogy Committee of Scotland, and then we'll read a few poems.
I just maybe want to start by thanking Hazel and Haval Aklim for everything they've done today already, and the Havalna who brought the food. It was delicious. I'm Danny. I'm a member of Genealogy Scotland, and I was asked to write a short piece today. So, Jinjian Azadi. You may have heard this phrase before: women, life, freedom. It is a mantra and a chant now used across the globe. It is also an excellent place to start describing what genealogy is about. At the beginning of the word genealogy, we have the prefix jin, which also means women in Kurdish. Jin is also the root of the word jian, which means life. This is an acknowledgement of women as the basis of life and freedom. We then pair this with ology, a suffix we see also in English, stemming from the Greek meaning knowledge. We can see that the origin and the literal meaning of genealogy is a beautiful phrase meaning the study of women in life. It is said that genealogy is a river finding its own way. The ideas of every woman, her study, the data she finds, the secrets her mother whispers in her ear, the power of interpretation, are all drops that strengthen the flow of this river. Genealogy is a science of sharing knowledge, a lens through which to study, share, and create analysis of the world around us. Unfortunately, especially in our context, it is tragically rare to see and to have the space to critically examine the patriarchal basis, the patriarchal and biased nature of the current science practices in the West. The sciences that have shaped our daily lives in the West since the Enlightenment are patriarchal sciences that lay the intellectual basis for colonialism and capitalism, individualism today. Genealogy offers us a lens through which to build another science, the science of life, a science that values connection to the earth, ancient practices, oral storytelling, folk songs, and medicines and herbs, all affluent areas of knowledge which have been aggressively ignored by conventional science. We may also find genealogy as a life science, a social science, a meaning science, democratic modernity science, and a free co-life science, in addition to the science of women. However, in practice it is more than this. It is the activation of a knowledge, a practice of a philosophy, and a movement towards freedom from the oppressive systems of capitalism, patriarchy, and the state which affect us all. The Genealogy Committee in England and Scotland is relatively young in comparison to its European and worldwide counterparts. We began our committee in Scotland in 2020 by studying both the origins of genealogy and of female oppression during the agricultural revolution. The theory is that the oppression of our women can be directly linked to our separation from earth and land, and then the alienation from each other and our communities. We work together to create a shared analysis in our context through education together here in Scotland. We then use this analysis so that we can understand what work we need and what education we require to reject the systems that we have all internalized as a society. We do this while assessing how the Kurdish paradigm and vocabulary can be applicable and relatable in our context as we progress. Some of us have decades of activists organising behind us, and yet it is only since encountering genealogy that we have had the words and the framework to ask the more foundational questions. In the Kurdish paradigm, there is a sobriety, a discipline and rigour, as well as an attention to detail, joy and aesthetics, which we welcome in a society that often frames struggle as negative, a thankless job, something impersonal. We do this work and research with the aim of sharing what we have learned about our context here in the UK with other genealogy committees across Europe. Simultaneously, we look forward to hearing the research of others about the history and effects of colonialism and patriarchy in their parts of the world. In sharing knowledge in this way, we can build a deeper understanding of what connects our struggles and what makes them unique. We can then use this knowledge to continue decolonising ourselves and strengthening our practice of work towards freedom in our communities and in society as a whole. At these times of sharing, we have heard the research on ancient and modern matriarchal societies and the linear nature of their power structures. We have heard of